Hey all, we're going to make some petroglyphs today doing the two-part plaster method. We want to make layers. So over here, we have our empty petri dish. We want to layer a medium-sized layer on the bottom so that it's a little bit harder than the top layer. That enables students to be able to push down somewhat a little bit harder on the top layer without it breaking the bottom layer. This has been sitting for around about 2 or 3 weeks. A little bit longer than what we'd like. However, what we want to ensure is that there's no bubbles trapped in our base. So the way to get the bubbles out is we get a damp cloth and we add some water in, and you may be able to see some bubbles appearing. The ratio that we have of our 3 parts is plaster of Paris, which is 800 milligrams. Water is also 400 milligrams. And we have some red oxide here that we're going to put in there to give it the coloring that we desire. And we're going to do about 5 milligrams of that, so that we're getting a nice red base to go on top. Start pouring in our plaster of Paris. You start to notice that things start to thicken up a little bit, which is great. That's what we want. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that there's no clotting of the plaster of Paris, so that when we pour them into our petri dishes, it's a nice consistency and students will get to experience it as desired. So if you can see that there are bubbles happening in there, just slow it down a bit. We don't want to create too much bubbles because that will then appear on top of our petri dishes. You can still use it, however, some students may not wish to use that. The top layer isn't as thick as the bottom, and that's what we want. We don't want to make it too hard for the students to have to scratch through the top layer into the second layer, exposing the different coloration. Petroglyphs, you can see in nature and what our first people have done right throughout Australia. So the idea now is that we can see the layering on the bottom. Over here, we've got some layering, the top layer and the second layer. Some of our staff members have gone through and created their own petroglyphs just as an activity. Alrighty, so what we've done is we've got our base over here done. We've got our second layer on top over here with some of these petri dishes that are ready to go out to schools now, and kids can experience their pleasure and the fun of learning about First Nation knowledge around petroglyphs and geology in their local environment of their local country.